Before we get into the podcast, I want to take a second to talk about our company, Lonely Cowboy, and what we do, what we stand for, and what we're trying to accomplish. More specifically with the Lonely Cowboy Scholarship Fund. Our scholarship fund is used to create scholarships for high school seniors across the country that are interested in mental health education. And through the collaborations we do with tattoo artists, as well as the podcast episodes, we hope to normalize the conversation and continue talking about mental health in a fashion that is digestible to everyone. If you're interested in learning more about Lonely Cowboy, you can check out our site, www.lonelycowboyco.com. You'll be able to find the scholarship fund page and the GoFundMe link. I'll put that in the description below, as well as the clothing we produce, as well as some of the past tattoo artist collaborations we've done. Going forward, Lonely Cowboy is going to continue the podcast with tattoo artists and basically anyone who's interested in mental health. I want to thank you guys for listening and supporting. It means the world to me. And without further ado, enjoy this episode of CONVOS with KEEGS. Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of CONVOS with KEEGS. I'm here with Kaylee Mcgilbery, tattoo artist out of Austin, Texas. Thank you for coming on, Kaylee. I really appreciate it.
Totally. Excited to be here.
Well, thank you. And congrats on opening the new shop. I just saw on Instagram that you did that.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a journey, to say the least, but we're here and we're doing it, so super excited.
I want to get into that and like how you opened it and everything. But first question, how'd you get into the tattoo world?
Yeah, so I originally was supposed to do special effects makeup, and I was gonna go to LA. And honestly, like I just didn't want to do it. I got a lot of bad vibes. I'm a pretty big sign person. And I feel like I went back home and talked to my parents, and I was like, hey, like I don't want to waste all this money, go to this school and then not do it at all. So what if I tattoo? Like as a joke almost. And they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, like that's how people get into drugs, go to jail. And I was like, yeah, okay, you're right. So I didn't do it, and I thought about it for like a couple weeks, and I was like, you know what? Like I can draw. Like I've always been very artsy. I've always just done different things with art forms. So it got to the point where I was like, no, I think I really could do it and like do it well. And they were like, look, we support you, and if this is your journey, then like do it, but like you're on your own and it's going to be tough. But yeah, I've been doing it since 2018.
Dang, right on.
Yeah.
Did you have an apprenticeship or anything, or did you just teach yourself?
I definitely had an apprenticeship. I think my like apprenticeship story is a little different because I started out in like a pretty like traditional apprenticeship. It was in a Navy-based shop like in Florida. Like I moved like right when I turned 18 to Florida and worked out there. And then got just a couple different job offers, moved around to San Antonio, and then opened up my private studio. So like my apprenticeship was very short in a sense. Like I did feel like I taught myself a lot, but at the same time, like I did have mentors. They weren't the best, but I think if you're an artist and you know how to do something at a certain point, it's pretty like self-explanatory. But yeah.
And how long? So is this the first shop you opened?
I had a private studio in 2019, and that's kind of where I got like sabotaged siren from. It was just me. It was in like a very small room, like in the back of a pharmacy and a chiropractor's office, like
Yeah.
very, very like just four walls, right? And then I brought it to Austin, Texas to expand on that. And I moved to Austin like later 2019. But obviously like when I came here and I thought of doing the shop, it turned into COVID, and then, finances were low, and I'm very young. I just turned 24 like a couple weeks ago. So I feel like, at the time of me like trying to open up a shop in 2019, 2020, everyone was like, well, just be young. Like, COVID's kind of this opportunity for you to like not be responsible. And I just never understood that because I've never been that way. Like, I've always kind of worked, I've always kind of like been this like go getter type of person. So, like, me being young, like, all of my friends were in college and doing, the party lifestyle. And I like kind of did that a little bit, right? But like I've always been paying taxes. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's just like I never got that like kid part, right? Like I just jumped
Hmm.
into being an adult like super quick.
Yeah. And how was that? So, correct me if I'm wrong, the timeline. You moved to Florida when you were 18 to get that apprenticeship. So, like you said, you've been working right right after you moved out. And how do you think that journey has been like? Because I relate a little bit. I went to college for 1 year, but I knew I like right when I got there, I was like, this sucks. I have no interest in sitting in a classroom for eight
Right.
hours a day, you know. But I also know once I dropped out and kind of went and did my own thing, like there were a lot of pressures from society, or just I guess in my situation, the town I grew up in, it's pretty much like you graduate, you go to college, you get a job, the
Right.
stereotypical whatever. um so was that a challenge for you mentally to kind of overcome those pressures from society?
I mean, I think just like going against like the grain is kind of just a challenge in itself. A lot of people have opinions, and I think like you kind of have to. I mean, that's why not a lot of people do it, right? Like it's
Hmm.
hard to sit here and do something different and not get like caught up with like other people's opinions and like what they think about you and like take that personally. Um, so I think like in high school when everyone was like touring colleges and like I did that. Like I did go to like a couple different actual colleges, not just like trade schools, and like did
Hmm.
tour them and like thought like, oh, like maybe all my friends are doing the sorority stuff, like I want to do that. I want to be a part of that. But like realistically, I like sat down with my guidance counselor and like she was trash. Like she sat here and told me that like if I didn't go to college that I was like gonna be a bum, like I wasn't gonna make anything of myself. And like I think like people that are supposed to support you at like that young of an age and like you're still like your mind's still being molded. So it's like when she said that to me and like all of my teachers like agreed and like that was like almost like same like small town, like that was like the talk of like the school was like, oh well, Kaylee's the only one like not going to college. And it's like I don't want to be in debt. Like I don't want to go to
Yeah.
school and do something I'm not in love with and like just think like later on like, oh, why didn't I take like that jump or that risk. But
Hmm.
I think like when I got and like moved out, because I graduated at 17. So like I had a whole year of like kind of deciding like what I was going to do. And I started tattooing in December of like 2017 and got my apprenticeship in like early 2019, or 18, sorry. And so like I think when it comes to like moving, like it's definitely scary, but I like wouldn't regret, like I don't regret doing any of that stuff. I actually like tell people, I'm like, dude, if that's what you want to do, like just do it. Like who gives a fuck like what you're doing?
Yeah.
And like as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. But it's definitely hard and like even opening up this shop and stuff too, like people definitely have things to say. And I think like people walk in here and they like look at me being like young and a female, and I think like it's hard for people to kind of comprehend that like I am this young because like they didn't do that when they were kids. And so it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry, like you didn't have your shit together. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm just so blunt and like if you just like went your whole life just not doing what you wanted to do, like I feel bad for you because like I just have always been like whatever. I don't care what people say, like I don't care what people think, but it does get to you at a certain point. Like it's hard mentally to like hear people talk and like
Totally.
doubt you, but at the same time, like it's like for your dream, so like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. I relate to that heavy. I mean, I'm s- I feel like it's a forever kind of process to go against the grain and do what you want to do, and try and overcome all of those hurdles. Especially, it's easier said than done. And um you know when people say have shit to say, is it can get to a point where, like you were saying, people are going to say their shit no matter what, even if you're following the straight and narrow, or if you're trying to veer off and do your own thing.
Right.
um Kind of going back to the school thing, how you were saying your guidance counselor and your teachers were all saying this shit, and trying to persuade you to do everything that all the other students were doing. What would you change, or what do you want to see in the education system today? Like, what if you could step into a board meeting at one of your schools or whatever, and say, like, this needs to change so the students can feel more open to do what they want to do? Like, how would that look? And what advice would you give to students who are thinking about doing something different?
Yeah, it's actually like really kind of funny because, well, one, I just want to say like I love that you like kind of curse on here because I have a potty mouth, so I just like might say stuff, but
No, it's all
um,
good.
anyway, I it's kind of funny because my older sister, she like recently moved back home, and she was kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I love working with kids, and um, she worked in CPS, foster care, stuff like that. And she actually got a job like back at our like the high school that we went to. And she's like teaching like special needs kids. And she had like kind of announced it to us, and I was just like I was like, okay, cool, like good on you. And then she was like, well, like, do you have an opinion about it? And I was like, I mean, is this like what you want to do? Like, are you passionate about it? And she was like, yeah, I'm actually like super stoked. Like, I like want to, like, she wants to be part of the change and like help these kids. And I was like, then like go into that school and be the best fucking teacher there ever was, like, to these kids. Like, support the fuck out of them. Like, that's all that you can do. Like, I wish somebody did that for me, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like kind of funny to see, like, and I think naturally, just like over the time frame that we've had the past like 5 6 years, like schools and the way that anybody supports like arts right now, I think is just a little bit different, like in the short amount of time. But like I think COVID probably had a lot to do with that, because like people were forced to be home and be kind of creative, and like we went into this like DIY kind of mindset, is like, oh, we can't go anywhere, so we're just gonna make it. And so
Hmm.
I think that's like already kind of changed the way that like people like want to do these things. And like now there's like content creators and people that can just kind of make something and post it, and they make money off of it. So I think like kids now kind of almost have it like a little bit easier, as far as like if they want to do something, there's a ton of people now that are just like, we'll just do it, and these kids do it, you know? So I
Yeah.
think, I mean, as far as like my mindset, it's always cool to see like my friends with kids that, they like look at my tattoos, or like if their moms have tattoos, like it's not super out of reach for them to think one day they could be a tattoo artist, or like one day they can like go and be self-employed or whatever. So, I mean, my advice just to people that are in the like educational system, like, is just to like really truly just like, if a kid has an idea, like, don't have an opinion on it, because like
Hmm.
again, their minds are being molded. So like as soon as you like counteract like what they're thinking, they're questioning it. So I think if people just go into it a little more open minded, as far as like, hey, yeah, they said they want to go to the moon, like, then okay, like get up, build that rocket ship, like just
Yeah.
do it. So it's, I don't know, but again, like it's such a different time than it was when I was in school, and so it's hard to like kind of have an opinion,
Yeah,
you know?
totally. It is strange to think about. I feel it's, yeah, like you said, school now, especially with COVID, is just so different, and it changed so quickly.
Right.
So it is kind of hard to pinpoint, what is going on in the education system, because I feel like everyone's kind of scrambling. We're kind of now getting back into the normal routine of kids going to school and everything, but they had that exposure for 2 years of being at home and doing shit on their own.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know the answer. I wish I did, and I think about it every
me
day.
too.
But yeah, I wish that teachers would treat students more as people, like humans, and less as students.
Right, right.
Just to have like more genuine connection with them. But so you just opened your shop in Austin, um, a few days ago, right?
I opened on the 1st of June, so it's been a
Oh,
month.
okay. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. And how is the opening? Like how's business going now? I saw you hired a new artist, right?
Yeah, I have Michelle in here now. She's a really good friend of mine. I used to actually work with her. Um, I guest spotted at the studio that she was working at before, like she moved to Austin. So definitely just, have been working with her for a while, but business has been good. We're on like East 7th, so it's pretty close to downtown, all the bars and stuff. So there's like, I mean, constant people just walking in and walking by, which is awesome. Um, but it's been good. Like it's a little like definitely like mentally tough. And I wish I would have taken a vacation before opening
Yeah.
the shop because truly I'm just like, oh my God, this has been like so taxing on my mind. Um, and I've been doing it by myself as well. Like I definitely have family members that have come and like help me like build and like do stuff and financially support. But as far as like everything in here, I wanted it to feel like it's my space, my studio. And like, I think at a certain point, like, I just like was like, okay, if I'm going to get this done and I'm going to do it, I'm just going to have to like block out whatever I'm thinking. And then just like I was here 9 a.m. till 2 a.m. most nights, like super crazy. Renovations didn't start until May. Like I've had this space and like I think since March and but like with commercial it's a little different, so like you have to get approvals for everything, people have to come in here and do inspections and stuff, so like it just kind of takes a long time. So
Hmm.
like actually working on this space, I did it for like literally like maybe around a month. So like I got everything up and running in May so I could open on the 1st. But it's been great. I would do it probably again.
Yeah.
Not for a fucking while though, but I would
Yeah.
definitely do it again.
Right on. And you mentioned right in the beginning, you said there were some like mentally taxing parts of it. What have been the hardest parts of opening your new spot?
I mean, honestly, like I think in my mind I was so prepared for this in a sense of like I just wanted to be on my own. I wanted everything to be mine. Um, but I think when this studio, like opening up my studio happened, it happened so quick that I've honestly been looking for my own space. Really, I never stopped looking since like 2019. I kind of would just
Yeah.
like do it for a month, nothing would come up, so I would leave it alone. But like, I think since like October of last year, I went to London, had a conversation with a few artists there, didn't know them. They talked to me, and I was like, dude, these people across the world are telling me to open up the shop, and they don't know me for shit, but like, they can just like get a vibe. And I was like, that's so inspiring. And so I came back, and I've just been like, I mean, like, foot to the pedal, like, have just been looking. And then it just like wasn't happening, and I think in my mind I was like, well, like damn it, like when am I gonna be ready? Because it's like I'm ready, but like the world's not ready, or like this
Yeah.
opportunity is not coming to me. So like it just kind of puts like this doubt in your mind, if like, can I even do this? And then getting this space, like I actually had this company reach out to me, which was sick. And it kind of just like, yeah, like stars aligned, it just fell into my lap. And then from that point on, like I think in like maybe, yeah, in March, like everything just like moved very quickly. And I was like, oh my God, this is happening. So it's definitely a lot of like self sabotage. And that's kind of
Yeah.
why my name is that. And because I just, it's easy to get in your head. It's easy, like, again, to hear people talk about whatever, but like at a certain point you have to be like, hey, I recognize this, I see it. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, like, I have sabotage on my chest, and that's
Right
like
on.
before I even knew like sabotage siren was going to be my name. Like when I left, studios for my apprenticeship and stuff, before I opened up my own shop, I got like the sabotage on my chest because I was like, dude, I believed these people at one point. I believed them telling me like the shit that like isn't true about like setups or clients, or like that I wasn't good enough. And I like, because I believed that, I was like, damn, I truly like am self-sabotaging like these golden opportunities, like by just like listening to what people had to say. And I never wanted to forget that like point in my life,
Mm-hmm.
because I really didn't think I was going to tattoo after I left like those shops. And then my whole family just supported me and was like, no, move back home, open up your own studio. And I was like, well, what am I going to call it? My older sister was like, well, you have sabotage on your chest, so like do something with that. And like I love Greek mythology, so like it's kind of like, yes, I like doubted myself, but now I am like this siren. And like truly a lot of like men just kind of fucked me over in the industry and were just like horrible. Obviously, I mean, like no one's probably surprised by that,
Yeah.
but it was like more of like this female empowerment, like, okay, like I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna like be just like a savage in the industry and like just like fuck these people up, right?
Yeah.
And
Hell yeah.
so like that's where that name came from. But like even now, like I still do that. Like I still, like there's so many nights where I would just like cry and like have like truly mental breakdowns of just being like calling my mom and being like, I don't think I can do this, but like I've signed a lease, like no one's like coming in, I don't know if I can hire people, like financially this is just so much. And like I think when everybody does it, like I definitely didn't want to do like a small business loan. I wanted to pay for everything. And for a while I was like, oh, I'm cool, I'm cool. And then I forget that like, oh, I actually like have my regular rent I have to pay for, like one of my dogs gets sick. And then it's like, oh, that's a vet bill. So it's like, and I got into a car accident. So it's like truly there's just life events. And I think it's hard because like you want to keep going and you want to do these things, but like life does happen. It doesn't just stop because you want to do some cool shit.
Yeah.
um but like I think that's why a lot of businesses don't like succeed after the first year, because it is tough. um but I'm a strong bitch, and like I do have a lot of like faith in myself. My brand is a lot, it means a lot more to me than just being like, like I'm having a really tough time, like I don't want to do it. Like fuck that. That's my inspiration to keep going. Like I love to feel my emotions, and like I probably should be in therapy, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, I love feeling like down, because I like, you truly can't have your high moments without the low ones.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're sitting here and we're always like feeling okay or doing this, like I just don't think like you can go anywhere from that. But it's definitely been tough. I feel like a little more stable now that I've been open for a month, and like looking at all of the clients that come in here, the reviews that people are leaving, it definitely means a lot. And like I know that there's support out there, but obviously like we're human, like we all can feel alone sometimes, even when there's a crowd of people around. So
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. I it's crazy that you said all that, because I like it when you were talking about it in my head. I related to almost every single point you hit, because I last year in May 1st of last year, I opened my studio. It wasn't a tattoo studio, but it was where I operated Lonely Cowboy, and
Yeah.
did the podcast and art and whatever, all that other shit. Um, and I remember like feeling the same things, and I'm still feeling it. Like I'm now
Yeah.
a year and a half ish in business, and I'm still struggling. Like starting a business is the hardest fucking thing
Yeah.
in the entire world. And I recommend everyone do it if they want to, but it is so hard to just get over the shit in your mind, like your brain telling you uh good and bad, you know, and like you were
Yeah.
saying, having all the people tell you, you know, doubting you, whatever, it does get to you and you start to believe it, and trying to flip that switch to where it's like, no, I can do this and I'm going to prove everyone wrong. um
Yeah.
I often think about, you know, is that beneficial to kind of have that, like, not revenge mentality, but you have something to prove, like having that chip on your shoulder to overcome whatever. Um, do you think that now that you've, like you said, you're a month in, things are starting to slow down a little bit? Do you feel yourself like physically feeling a little bit better?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, even the first day of me tattooing in here, I was like, I mean, it was so fucking hectic. Like good on my fucking clients for
Yeah.
just trusting me and just being like, "Hey, I know you've been doing this, but like it's gonna be like," they're like reassuring me, which is like kind of funny.
Yeah.
But like I'm just such an open and honest person. Like I always tell people I want their like experience in here to just be relatable. Like I don't want to dress up every day and feel like I'm like intimidating people. Like I don't want to be rude. Like I want to be like, hey, like we're homies. Like if you want to wear a hoodie and sweatpants, like bitch, same. Like that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, but it's yeah, it's cool because like I don't want to seem like I have my shit together when I don't.
Mm.
Like if I come in and I'm struggling and my client's like, "Oh, how are you?" I don't want to be like, "Oh, I'm good." Like I want to be like, "No,
Yeah.
bitch, I'm going through it." All right?
Yeah.
But because I like, odds are like somebody else is too, right? It's not just like we're always okay. But I definitely being the first day in here, I just automatically was like looked around and was like, "Oh, this is like for sure going to be a work in progress." But like I love my space. Like it's mine. Like I'm
Yeah.
so proud of the shit that I've done and like the people that have helped me do this. Like it's crazy. Um and it's slowly getting better, like as far as like everything in here. There's like like minimal decorations I need to do, but like now I just have to like work my ass off, right? Like so, which I do
Yeah.
all the time. So I think as far as like now I feel a little bit like more stable, and it is slowing down in a sense of like, oh, I don't have much to do to the space, but now it's like now I got to get a clientele in here, got to get the reviews, got to get,
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Are there any practices you do every day, you know, when you are struggling? Like, do you go on walks or read? Like, what are some things you do to help your brain?
I have no idea. I used to I used to like take walks with my dog. I used to do a bunch of shit. I'm just so busy now that like I often ask myself like what can I be doing better? Like when you asked me to do this podcast, I've definitely watched a few different episodes and I've been like, damn, like I don't do shit for my mental health. Like that's bad. Like for real, when I say like I should be in therapy, like I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
But
I think
I
everyone should be in therapy.
I mean, yeah, and I struggle with like I struggle with it because like I was in therapy a lot when I was a kid. I had like some like traumatic experiences happen, and I think a lot of people just put me on a bunch of medications that I like didn't feel like myself. So when I got to a point where I was like old enough, I was like, "Hey, I don't like I want to feel my body. I want to feel what I'm doing." And a lot of the times when I'm like sad or like depressed or have like a lot of anxiety, like art was like the form that I like turned to. Like that's what made me feel better. And so it's funny now being a tattoo artist because it's like even when I'm having a really bad day and like I don't physically want to come into work, I definitely like I start tattooing and I'm like, "Oh my god, like I needed that." Like cuz drawing truly was like how I coped with a lot of things. So it's oftentimes we're referred to in the industry as like therapists for people because
Yeah.
it is this comfortable, vulnerable space that people come into. They sit down and they just like are getting a tattoo for a loved one or getting a tattoo for their dog that passed away. And it's like, it's tough because people like do just tend to overshare. But at the same time, like again, like, there's not anybody on this planet who hasn't lost someone, right? So
Yeah.
like it is really easy to get into this mindset of like, okay, like you lost your dog, like I lost my dog, you know, like, and you can chat with people. So I think a lot of my client experiences, I do use that as like, hey, like reminding myself, like everybody's going through some kind of bullshit. Like you're not the only one. Like it's definitely comforting to see like other people like be so open about what they're going through. But as far as like doing things that I should be doing, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I feel like my work like is like my coping. Like I like to just be tattooing and like kind of zone out.
Hmm. So what do tattoos mean to you? When you get tattoos, like I see your arms are pretty heavily covered
Oh
and looks
yeah.
like Japanese traditional on the left and your palm, dang.
Yeah.
How so yeah, what's your relationship with tattoos as a client?
Um hmm. That's a good question. I feel like not many of my tattoos have meaning. They're kind of just like I've appreciated the art form for so long that a lot of the times, like, I get tattooed by people that I want to guest spot with or like want to travel to. So if I'm like going, like, I got my palm done in London, and me and
Damn.
my like coworker, and I was like, yo, you want to go to London and get our palms tattooed? And she was like so down. And so we went for 2 weeks and like just traveled, took time off work, like hung out. She's also like one of my best friends. So it was just like, oh, cool. Like I can do this. And then we have guest spots there now. So it's like, that's super sick. But as far as like all my other stuff, it's kind of just like usually when my family like travels or like I travel, I always try to get a tattoo because it's not like anything like related to where we're going either. It's just like I feel like for me it helps me like kind of like spread out my tattoos because obviously if I like let it happen, I would be tattooed all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so I'm like, okay, I have a trip planned in 3 months. Like I'll book a tattoo and then I won't get a tattoo like until my next trip. But
In the
I
healing
think they're
process. Yeah. The
yeah.
healing process is like you gotta it I love tattoos more than anything in the world, but with all the, like you said, life happens and getting a tattoo, you almost have to, especially if it's a big piece, you got to rest for like
Mm-hmm.
at
Yeah.
least a week and then 2 weeks, you got to keep, doing all the aftercare and shit.
Yeah.
Um, what would your advice be to someone that is looking to get their first tattoo?
You know what? I always tell people, even people that are heavily tattooed, they come in here and they like either bring people or they like have 5 different ideas and they try to make meaning. And honestly, like if you just want something, like just get it. Like
Yeah.
don't overthink it. I know it's hard because like I still do it. But like I don't think that anything has to have a meaning. If you enjoy and you like to look at specific art, then just get it. Like it's truly for yourself. Like what your boyfriend thinks has nothing to do with it. What
Mhm.
your like girlfriend thinks has nothing to do with it. What your mom's gonna think when you come home doesn't fucking matter. Like eventually people will get over it. And if they don't, then like it's not their fucking body, so who cares?
Yeah.
I think like almost every tattoo artist would say that too. Like you just gotta like do what you enjoy, what you love, and if people don't get behind it, then they can leave.
Yeah, I totally agree. We're gonna wrap it up here soon. I got a few more questions.
Go ahead.
Um, one of them being, if you could tattoo anybody in the world, who would you want to tattoo,
No.
and
Okay.
what would the design be?
Um, this is so hard because every time I do the like poll on Instagram, somebody always is like top celebrities, and I'm like, I couldn't. I just truly don't know.
Yeah,
I think at the, I think okay. I think I would do at this moment. I would probably want to tattoo like Doja Cat because I fucking love her, and she's so weird, and I'm so weird, and I'm like, a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
But I also like, I don't know. I mean, that's so hard to just pinpoint
Yeah.
like one person. I mean, it would be like Doja Cat, Billie Eilish. Um,
That would be sweet.
that would, yeah, I think that would be sick. Um,
And where did you get the name besides the sabotage part? So explain, you said you like Greek mythology. What what made you think of like sabotage siren?
yeah, so I think so like the sabotage because it comes from like me being like sabotaged.
Mhm.
So like I just took sabotage and then put like the siren like I am like the siren, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like it's that's where that's from. And then now it and my logo back then when I started the private studio used to be this like siren mermaid, and she was black and gray only, but she was kind of like zombie-esque, like scary looking.
Mhm.
And then now over the years I like recently changed her, and she's kind of like this pink and red like sexy cute mermaid, a little sassy looking. And because it's like truly I'm just like in a better like space now where I'm like okay, like my clients are coming to me because they're here for me and my experience I give them, and I'm just like I don't need to like think that I need to like prove myself anymore. Like clearly I do that on my own.
Mhm.
Um and then the electric siren kind of came from like honestly just like it's an ode to like traditional tattooing, right? Which is like the style that I do. So like the electric kind of comes from that, but it's also like the power that comes from being able to be in a spot where I can like open up my own studio, and like I don't like necessarily not all the time I don't think that I can't do this. Like I am doing it and I am successful. And yeah, it's just more of like being so like electric with like the power of like just doing whatever the fuck I wanted to do, and now I'm in this space.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
dope. Last question. So how is the tattoo scene in Austin? Because I know Austin's a pretty booming city right now, and there's a lot of people moving there.
Yeah.
Especially with the arts. So is tattooing like a pretty big staple in Austin?
I mean, there's a tattoo shop on every corner, right? So,
Dang.
like, truly, there's like, I think another one right down the street, and I like drove by there the other day, and I was like, oh my God, like, how did
Yeah.
they let me open up a space right here? Like,
Dang.
but I think what's cool about Austin is the art is so different, and you know, not every shop is going to be great, and not every shop is like for everyone, you know? So, like, a lot of people like want specific styles, and some shops kind of only cater to like fine line or like stick and poke, and some do you know the super bold American traditional, and then some are just private studios. So I think it's like easy as far as like I know I have a clientele, and I know like you know my people come to me because they want a specific thing. So
Hmm.
like as long as I'm just like staying with the times and like always kind of growing, I'm not really like concerned about it. But I mean, there's phenomenal artists here, like truly like people that are like well known in the industry. It's like a little hard to. Sometimes I forget, and then I'm like, oh my God, I tattooed in the same city as like so and so.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
it, but it's pretty cool too. I mean, I think that's just everywhere. Like tattoos are just becoming so big, and a lot of people are like kind of able to open up a shop like however.
Yeah.
So it's a little difficult to like kind of see somebody else do it, and you're just like, that's strange.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then like I'm sure people think that about me too, you know. So it's like it's kind of a balance game of like, well, you just got to be like doing something different or like
Yeah.
something a little more like exceptional, right?
Totally. Um, well, thank you so much for doing this again. I appreciate it a ton. And
Totally.
if anyone wants to contact you, or like how do they find you and how do they book with you?
Totally. I do all of my bookings through DM. So my Instagram is sabotaged siren, and then my shop's Instagram is electric siren tattoo. And then you can check out Michelle as well on the Electric Siren page. And yeah,
Well, thank you
that's
so much
it.
again. I appreciate it.
Totally.
If I'm ever in Austin, I'll make sure to come and get a tat. That'd be sweet.
Hell yeah.